Good morning. Good morning, folks. Dr. John Taylor Kent here. Thank you for joining me. I really wanted to put a video up on my other channel, Awakening Israel, about the blessings for obedience to the Ten Commandments and the curses for disobedience. Because the curses for disobedience reveal who we are. They reveal that we are the people of the covenant, and they also reveal our current status, our rebellion, and the problems. Yet, when I post videos on the other channel, I'm not getting many watches at all. This channel is getting more videos, and I've been very aggravated. One of my favorite shops got shut down by the ATF. The fellow that owned it was forced to sell it. The ATF is supposed to help these licensees to have better records and put things together properly, to coach them a little bit. That's what they used to do. But now they're pulling the rug out when they forget to dot their I's and cross their T's. So we appear to be in the time of Jacob's troubles. What I've been motivated to do is to tell you about the FBI, and that I believe it needs to be dissolved, that we need to dismantle this police state. And the FBI is the worst of them. I don't think we have any choice but to take them apart and to return to self-rule. This is why we need our militias. A man needs to be in good standing in the militia. He needs to have commanders over him, men he can turn to for guidance, for advice, and to back him up if he's called to task for, why did you do this? Why did you make this decision? Did you consult with anyone? Were they in agreement? Because we men have to make better decisions, and I'm probably one of the worst when it comes to decision making. I need you to understand that the FBI is terrible. The 3 times I went into the offices in Indianola Avenue or Street, whatever it was, in downtown Phoenix, they let me down. All 3 times. They didn't do the right thing. So that's just a personal thing. So I've got upfront, in-your-face personal experience, and I don't want any more experience with them. I don't want to talk to them. I don't want to work with them. I don't want to help them. I want to destroy them. I want to see them gone. I want to see power return to we the people. I don't want mayhem. I don't want anarchy. But we certainly do not have law and order, not with this damn FBI and the Department of Justice and Merrick Garland. My God. I think the heads of these establishments, the heads of these organizations, the heads of these government agencies have committed high treason. I think they should suffer the ultimate punishment. But no, that's a little bit harsh of me, some will say. Well, what I want to tell you about today is the Oklahoma City bombing. 6 weeks before April 19th, I don't remember the year. You can go look that up. It was a while ago. An ATF agent, field agent, in the field. I remember she was a woman. I remember she was black. I don't know her name. I don't think that ever got published. She discovered the plot to bomb the Edward Murrow building in Oklahoma City 6 weeks in advance. She went to her superiors, like she should do, and together they turned it into the FBI. And you know what the FBI did? They ordered the ATF to stand down. And 6 weeks later, the bombing occurred and they murdered 19 children. Now remember that number. It shows up quite often in other claims today. But not one FBI agent was caught in the blast. Not a one. And as far as the ATF goes, none of their agents got caught in the blast either, except I believe a secretary may have perished in the bombing. And your illustrious FBI made it happen. They're a terrorist organization. They've been doing almost all the terror to our people. Who was president at the time of the bombing? Who benefited? Well, what we do know from Cody Snodgrass, whose name given to him by the American Indians was Golden Elk, Cody Golden Elk, Cody Snodgrass. He was a demolitions expert, and he did jobs for our government outside of the country. He got called by a supervisor. This is his account. He's been interviewed many times, doing this by memory. He's also published a book. At the same time he went public. And the book was a CD form, and he offered it for $15 a copy initially. I didn't get one of them. I wanted one. Had to put it off. Wasn't within my budget at the time. The price went up a little bit. And I put it off a little bit more and never did get it. But we have that gentleman to thank for coming public. His supervisor or handler, and it appears as though it was in the company, the CIA, took his ass out hiking into the woods, and he carried a backpack with him. When they got in the middle of nowhere, the supervisor talked with him, showed him what was in the backpack. If I recall correctly, it was $500,000 in cash. You know, this fiat money that they make out of thin air and they rule over us because they have all that power to steal from us, to enslave us. And our masters in the Federal Reserve and slave drivers and managers in the Congress make sure that you and I suffer in this beast system with their money magic and their monopoly, which is unconstitutional. Same year, the FBI was started, the Federal Reserve was started, and the ADL was started. The ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, whose number one weapon is to defame honest men and women. So you can't question Israel, you can't question what's been going on, and you can't stand up for America. You got to be Israel first, or you don't get to hold public office here. And that's not Israel. Cody Snodgrass's handler told him, upon completion of the job, you get the other half. Snodgrass had one question. Is this job on American soil? Yes, it was. And he declined the job. And because he declined the job, they went after him. They framed him up. They put him in prison. They dragged him through the mud. They made him suffer. And they put age on the man. They put years on him. I think he spent 1.5 years in prison. But he learned some things while he was in prison. I guess it was kind of like Joseph going to prison. He learned what was going on. So what did Cody tell us was in the building that was so important? 480,000 medical records. The medical records of 480,000 veterans, troops, Gulf War veterans who were suffering Gulf War syndrome. And they wanted the records destroyed so they didn't have to pay out the benefits to the veterans, to their wives, and to their children. Why? Because they didn't want to get caught for causing Gulf War syndrome with the depleted uranium ammunition that our troops were shooting. And they talked about shooting depleted uranium out of 50 caliber machine guns. And I guess it goes out hot and white, and it goes right through metal. Hit a man with that up close range and he disappears, or it cuts him in half. Well, every time they discharged one of those rounds, it off-gassed into the air. And so our boys got uranium, radiation sickness. They didn't want to pay off on it. So the military-industrial complex made arrangements. And who was president at the time? Well, who was his wonderful wife? And not only did they destroy almost 500,000 medical records so they could get out of their obligation to take care of our troops, liars and thieves and murderers is what they are. They promise they're going to take care of the vets. My ass. There were 2 different investigations going on, both upon the wife of the President of the United States, the First Lady. My buddy reminded me of one set of the records yesterday, and I can't remember what they were. But the other one was called Whitewater. So those records were moved in to the Murrah building in Oklahoma City the day before the bombing. Okay, who took the job? Well, best I can tell, it was published somewhere, and what I recall is it was a German who took the job, and he was associated with the Stern Gang and with the Red Brigade and a very wealthy family in Germany. And when it got too hot for him, because he lingered after he did the job in the United States, the FBI took him up and protected him and escorted him out of the country safely through Nova Scotia. So here's the FBI involved in covering it up too. I want to say his name was Andy Stern. Strasberg. I don't know, folks. Don't remember. Got too many. I suffer from information overload. So your illustrious FBI made the bombing happen. They facilitated the bombing of the federal building in Oklahoma City on the 19th of April. The FBI needs to be dismantled, taken down completely. However, I think we call the military in. We take every one of them in custody. And we call in the military psychologists, and hopefully they're good ones. And we debrief those people. We seize the records. When we go through the records with a fine-tooth comb, and we make a determination about each FBI agent, has that man or woman, that special agent, acted nobly or not? Have they abided by their oath of office, the oath to the Constitution? And we charge them. And those who have acted honorably and nobly, I don't think there are any, or they would have come forward with all this stuff a long time ago. They need to be cleared. And those who are marginally faithful to the Constitution and didn't uphold their oaths and didn't turn in the crimes, we need to make sure that they never get to work in law enforcement again. And I think they should lose their retirements on that. I don't know. What do you think should happen to the errant FBI agents? What do you think should happen to Comey? What do you think should happen to the current jackass in charge, Christopher Wray? What should happen to those gentlemen who have lied to the American people? What should happen to those people that deprived us of the truth, deprived us of justice? So the Oklahoma City bombing is just one example of the failure of the FBI. Folks, I think we arrest them based upon that alone. And while we go through this period, we need to remind sheriffs of their power and their authority. And we need to reconstitute our state militias, both the state militias and the private militias. We were free to do that. That's what the Second Amendment allowed us to do. And the nice thing about a militia is you don't get to be a member unless you're a man in good standing in the community. If you're a criminal or some sort of a jackass, you're not allowed to be a member of the militia. So our men will gladly become members of the militia so they can show and prove their good standing, because they have to pass the muster. They have to pass the test of the superiors. They have to be under authority, willing to submit to authority. They have to mind their P's and Q's. Fucking bunch of idiots. The FBI is like Jezebel in the Bible. It needs to be tossed to the dogs, because that's what they've become. Now, I'm going to give you several separate videos on the FBI, so each one has a title, because I think this is the most important thing. And in case you're wondering who's behind all this crap that's going on today and brought this to a head, it's your current president serving his third term in office, making sure to destroy America. That's what his mission was, is, and always will be. He lives on Martha's Vineyard. That's what I hear. And he just put in a 2,500 gallon LP, huge LP tank requiring special permissions to fuel his generator. So I guess he gets power when they deprive the rest of us of power, so he can run his operations and have all of his computers going and communications up and all that on Martha's Vineyard, along with his wife, or should I say husband. They both hate this country. What do you think it means in the Bible when it says one of the curses for disobedience? Disobedience to the commandments, the laws, all the rules and regulations that Yahweh gave us, that Yahweh, Creator, Father, our God, gave us. Yahweh. The tail shall rise up over you and rule over you, and you're going to go beneath him. Yeah, we get to thank you, white women, for your white guilt, for putting that jackass in office and giving him so much opportunity to harm this nation, to put all of this apparatus in the federal government in place in a way that's going to be hard as hell to dig it out. I hope you're in for the long haul, folks, because I got a feeling that my brothers that say that Jacob's troubles is 20 years, and I know some of you say Jacob's troubles only 3 years or 3.5 years or 7 years, but Jacob originally went and worked for Laban 20 years before he went back home. I think we've got a 20-year period of troubles here in the United States. So like this video, share this video, get a hold of your congressmen and senators, get a hold of your governors. We need to even turn to our state police, although they tend to be corrupt. And in case you're wondering, you better get armed up, because the last time they called out the National Guard in Katrina, they had to call out other branches of the National Guard. Why? Because the local police and the local National Guard were the ones doing the raping and the pillaging and the murdering. Yeah. We need our militias. You can call them a gang if you want. But we need to be in good standing and good order and watching each other's backs. I don't trust these son of a bitches in Washington, D.C. I don't trust these son of a bitches that serve in the incorporated government, this illicit government that's anti-constitution in D.C. or in the state governments that are also incorporated. We have to undo all that stuff. Remember, we have to just do it the way it was done before Lincoln screwed it up. We need to return to the Jeffersonian Republic. Jefferson wrote at great lengths how to restore the Republic when there were problems. Go look that stuff up. In case you're wondering, he borrowed from Moses. Let's band together and put this police state aside. Let's do away with the Patriot Act and the surveillance state. And let's take apart these big corporations with their interlocking corporate boards. And above all, let's take apart this high-tech, with their high-tech lynching in which they go after the citizens of this nation and control the narrative, and they censor us. Yahweh bless. May Yahweh bless America.